Hey boys, welcome back to some more Nrl Supercoach. Is going to be the round 21 preview, and we have quite the couple of decisions to make with trades. We'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it straight away. I mean, we'll talk about team lists. So notable for my team, everyone's there. Solomon is still on the edge. No Eli Katoa, even in the extended. So good news there. All the boys are back on deck. Horsburgh's back. Cartwright's still got the edge spot, so he, he can still play 80 minutes. Beauty. Piacora's still there, obviously. Halves, obviously Cody Walker returns to the Rabbits. The center wing, so a little bit's going on. So Sifa Talakai has been dropped to the bench now. And we'll go through the rest. So Ty Munro also is gone this week, which from all reports, he's not dropped or replaced by Tane Milne. He's apparently a little niggle, just a week-long injury, which I don't think it's been absolutely confirmed if he's going to be back we don't know for sure if he's going to be back next week, but no issue. Honestly, it would be nice if he is, because the Rabbitohs do have a really good draw coming up. So it'd be nice to have him, just the potential to play him, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter if he's enough or if he's playing. It is what it is. And then the rest of it is fine. So the Talakai situation now, this was sort of, I'm not going to lie, when I first heard this, I was sort of rejoicing a little bit, because he was one of those guys in the team now that I was like, I wanted to. Mulatalo is so cheap now, and I'm happy just to hold him like Alex Johnson for better games. Talakai, though, he's still at a good price. He's $630K. You can get some pretty decent players for him. And I was like, you know what? He's benched now. I was talking about this last video that he was probably the one guy I was going to look to trade off. But so I was like, you know what? Decision made. We'll trade out Talakai, but I don't think I can do it. So, it's a tricky one. So Nathan Cleary is back, obviously, with all the Penrith boys returning as well. They take on the goddamn Bulldogs Sunday afternoon, Bluebet Stadium. Yeah, you got to get him in. I just think you got to get him in. There's no shot. I'm not I have been tossing and turning about this decision, whether or not do I just go on Cleary straight away. And also lately I've been thinking, do I trade out Nico Hines instead of Johnson? And I don't think so. I mean, there's a couple of factors here. So let's go through the guys I want to bring back first. So we want Cleary back, so that's one trade. We have to trade Talakai out for, preferably it was going to be for another keeper in the center wing. Although if not, I was thinking we could trade Talakai for a fullback and swing Garrick back up to center wing. So I was honestly looking at Tedesco. I got to be honest, Tedesco. So Cleary, Tedesco, Mitchell, I think is also, but I think he's going to be a must-have for the end of the season. So there's 3 trades gone, bang, just like that. So we will be down to 4. And then we will need to make money depending what we do. Depending which way we go, we will need to make some money. So that's where, again, nuffing out Piacora. So let's just put it this way. We nuff out Piacora probably next week. Give him another week. We nuff him out. Damien Cook as well. I know there were comments as well, and I did say in the last video I was tempted to maybe nuff out Cook. Yeah, it is a bit risky. It is risky to nuff out a dummy half because you've only got the one spare. and the fact that I'm going to be pretty low on trades. So if Grant happens to get an injury, or if he gets rested or suspended, I'll have to trade him out, and we will have a couple of trades up our sleeves, but we do want to keep a couple for the back end. So I don't know. I don't think nothing out Cook is the way to go. We could, like, if there's someone coming, like, I don't think there is. I mean, Brendan Hands, you can make a bit of cash, and other guys, but I don't know. I don't see the real merit. I do think just going Piacora down, let's say make 200k there, then we trade in Cleary, Tedesco, Mitchell. We should have enough money, and then we'll have 3 trades left. We'll have 3 trades left, and I mean, there's other guys I want. Like, probably out of those, like, other than those, the guys that I probably want the most is probably Marju and Clockstad. They're the guys I was talking about last video. They're probably 2 premium guys for the run home. The Warriors draw is just so fucking good. And that's the thing with Johnson. Like, it's just that with Johnson, keeping Johnson does seem appealing, but man, I mean, you look at his scores, like the start of the year, he was good, he was fine. He had a couple of big ones in there, but he's got those low scores in him, you know, a 41, a 42, a 31, 39, a 20. He's obviously hit a bit of a purple patch, but you look at the teams, Dolphins, Raiders, Dragons. He didn't go well against Rabbits. Eels, he went okay. And then Sharkies, 135. But then you look at their fucking draw. It's Canberra, who we got 100. Then the bye, which also is a bit of a stuff around. If he didn't have a bye, I'd probably, I don't know. I'd probably lean towards keeping him, but he does have a bye, which Hines and Cleary don't have for the rest of the year now. Then he's got Gold Coast, Tigers, Manly, Dragons, Dolphins. Oh my word. I mean, that's unbelievable. They haven't versed the Titans this year, have they? No. So we don't know. They're Tigers. Wait, they haven't versed the Tigers either? Have the Warriors had a tough draw? Am I reading this right? I think so. They haven't versed the Tigers or the Titans. They'll verse them once. Manly, how'd they go against Manly? Bro, am I losing it? I guess it doesn't work like that where you verse 2. You just, I don't know how many teams do you verse twice? It's like not a random amount, but I guess just it can be luck. I mean, they verse Dolphins twice. They verse Dragons twice. They verse Penrith once. Okay, we're not going to go through all of that, but it's a good run. That's the bottom line. And that's why I think Chans, like, especially if we get rid of Johnson, getting in Chansey later would be beautiful. Just having some Warriors players for that run home would be ideal. It's cutting it fine, though. It is cutting it fine, because you do have to remember, because if we scooch forward, yeah, so round 27, the Eels have a bye. So round 27, Eels have a bye. I've only got, so Gutherson's gone. I'm not going to be keeping Gutherson, so that's fine. And then Cartwright. So I've only got Cartwright, and Cartwright, I mean, yeah, depending what happens, I mean, I guess if the trade's probably a little low to get rid of him, but you never know. Maybe we do with the extra trade. So we've only got one of there. Round 26, also a bit tricky because Rabbitohs have a bye, so that is a bit tricky. So Cook, but that's fine. Honestly, Cook, we got Grant, so it's fine. Forward's good. Cody Walker will be gone. Johnston, Munro, but one of each, really. That's fine. And then Latrell Mitchell, who ideally we'll have. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 genuine guys gone in round 26, which is a little tricky, but not, again, our depth is, I think, is good enough to cover. And then, Who's round 25? Who is it? God, trying to read it off this dude. Is it the Broncos? Broncos? Yeah, I don't have too many Broncos. So I think it's only really these last 2 rounds that I'm like, you got to be a little careful not to overstack. So we're fine. We're fine for Eels. We're not really going to get any more Eels players. And Rabbitohs, we're going to look at Mitchell, but so round 26 might be a little tricky, but that's okay. So this is where it gets mighty big. It just gets mighty tricky because there's so many players, but they're all, I guess the one silver lining about pretty much every player that I'm looking to bring in is they all have a high break even. So Mitchell has like 140 break even. Tedesco even, he has 100 break even. Cleary's got like 100 and so. Talakai. So the thing with Talakai, and this is what I was talking about. So like going back to the main point of Talakai benched, easy trade out. Now, if we go Talakai, what I was looking at doing, because I can't afford, I mean, we get a fucking Azarko. But the guys I want, so Marju and Clockstad, just a little bit too expensive, unfortunately. And then anyone else, I mean, I'm sure, yeah, there's definitely some pods. I mean, honestly, a fucking Brian Toto for the run home could be juicy. I'm not going to lie. The Panthers have a pretty good draw. Nathan Cleary's back. I'm sure they're going to see a lot of footy down that right-hand side. That's a luxury trade, though, if I've ever seen one. And then anyone else, I mean, fucking Azarko, he's at a pretty juicy price now, but I don't think I would go him. Steph Crichton, obviously he's going to lose the goal kicking, so yeah. I mean, if you look at his scores early when Cleary's there, he just has randomly low scores in him. He looks like he should be like a Supercoach like keeper, but the scores just don't really stack up. Like a big one here, and then he's got 2 good ones back to back, but that's with goal kicking as well. So yeah, I wouldn't go Crichton. You could pull out some big ones, but nah, not to be. Connor Tracy as a centre spot, but he could be gone next week as well. That's the only issue. So I'm not too sure about that. But what I was more thinking, swing Garrick back up here, and then we bring in our man James Tedesco, who we can actually afford. He's 670k, but the thing, so Talakai's break even, surprisingly, it's not that high. It's around 80, a tick over 80, I think. So it's not great, but this is where it gets tricky, because if I went Talakai to Tedesco, or even if I went Talakai to someone a bit cheaper like Toto or someone like that, I'm still not going to have enough money to trade Johnson to Cleary. I could trade Hines to Cleary if I wanted to do that, but I don't think I do. Like, I don't think you can trade Hines. Like, it's definitely the fucking huge pod play to trade out Hines, but is it really worth it? Like, I know the Sharks are shit against bottom 8 teams, but not bottom 8 teams, the literal opposite, top 8 teams, but they have the annoying thing about the Sharks, and I mean, Hines is sort of the anomaly anyway. He scores well, but they've got a decent, like, Manly this week is pretty juicy. Then it's tough, like Penrith South, that's very tough. But then the Gold Coast, even the Cowboys, I still think they can score some points. And then Newcastle Raiders. It's a pretty good back 4 games for Nico Hines, I think, to have a charge into the finals. And I just think what Johnson can do, Hines can do, but bigger. So I don't think I can trade Hines out. I just don't think I can do it. So then my other option, do I hold Talakai for this week and pray that... So with the team list, so the young guy Calhoun, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but he's looked pretty good, but he's had very limited minutes, and he's straight into the starting back row spot. Talakai on the bench, there is a real possibility that Talakai starts in the back row come game day, because that Calhoun has mainly been used as a middle forward, like through his games as is. I don't know if he probably is more a back rower in lower grades, I'm assuming, but Talakai, he could very well come in and start in the back row. I don't know if that's likely, but he could. You put a youngster that hasn't really played any back row in the top grade out there. Talakai has done it before. And I actually do think Talakai would be better as a back rower than a center anyway. So if that happened, I mean, Talakai would firm as like he would firm as like a keeper, and he still might lose a bit of cash, but he would score pretty well. And even if he's off the bench through the middle, surely he gets pretty decent minutes through the middle. And I mean, he's such a powerhouse. You would think he would still go pretty decently. So I'm like, do I just ride it out and just pray to God that he doesn't get like 20 minutes or some shit like that? Because Fitzgibbon could really fuck me if he did. I mean, at the end of the day, if that ended up happening and we just got stuck with Talakai, it is what it is. We might just have to forego getting a Clockstad or a Marju, but that's Supercoach. That's Supercoach. If it happens, it happens. Again, this is not trading out Hines. If we traded out Hines, it would make it a lot easier. But the trades I was sort of leaning towards now was going Gutherson to Tedesco. So like I said, Tedesco does have a high break even, but they are versing the Titans on a Saturday afternoon. Tedesco has copped heavy criticism. He's had a week off. I'm expecting him to do well, and I mean, his form in Supercoach wise for the last month or so, like obviously barring like Origin and stuff, like it's been pretty good. So I do think Tedesco is a good trade in, and it nets me, net me like 230k. Easily then can go Johnson to Cleary. That'll be my two trades this week. And let's have a quick look at that. We'll have a quick squiz at this. See how much exact cash we got in the bank to play with next week. So where is he? Because again, hopefully Latrell Mitchell comes back slowly against the Bronx. Hopefully my Bronx do a job on Latrell and he drops like fucking, I don't know, 50 plus K. That'd be nice. He's likely to bang out a big ton, but at least he's not going to go up in price. I'd be shocked if he went up in price. Let's put it that way. And then Johnson, oh man, it feels so dirty to trade out Johnson, but I just think you got to, man. I think you've got to. Cleary. Okay, so we've got 149 in the bank. Probably not as much as I would have liked. Because, 150k. What was Mitchell? So Talakai, 150, so we'll have like, let's say he stays the same. He's not going to, but 780k. 780k with the Talakai trade. Mitchell, I think, was, what is he, a tick over 800? He is, oh my god. Yeah, a bit over 800k, but you would expect him to lose money. Like, he's got like 130, 140 break even, so he should lose money, but Talakai will also lose money. So I feel like I'm going to be just short. If this happens, I feel like I'm going to be just short next week being able to go Talakai straight to Mitchell regardless. It could happen. If things went our way, it potentially could happen. If that did end up happening, I mean, yeah, I still think Talakai would probably be our highest guy that we would likely want to get rid of. So, I mean, yeah, it sort of comes down to that a little bit. But if we didn't do that, because, yeah, we got 5 trades left. Like I said, Mitchell, we definitely have to bring Mitchell in. So going down to 4 trades, and then having to make a bit more cash with another trade. So 3 trades left. 3 trades left and like 6 or 7 rounds left. You know, we could use one more trade if we make enough money. We could potentially upgrade a Croker to a Clockstad or a Marju. It might be pushing it a little bit, but it's possible. It's possible. And then we'd have 2 trades left. And then the 2 trades, I mean, we'd probably just hold. If we didn't do that, I think that works. I do actually think that works pretty well. Like, I think it does. I think it does. We honestly, again, if Pia Cora can just bang out another big score and go up like a good chunk this week again, it would make life so much easier. So we could make like just a bit more off his down, trade down. But we shall see. Or even, I mean, honestly, even Talakai next week, we could just fucking. You probably don't want to nuff him, because then we'd trade. If we nuff Talakai, who are we gonna upgrade? Mulatalo. He's going to be so cheap. Johnston's going to be so cheap. Yeah, he probably wouldn't do that. But let's just look at it. So if we did Hines, you know what? Actually, before we do it, because I know, wait, do the Panthers have a bye? No. Do they? No, well, I was going to look at matchups. So, the weeks... Let's go to halfbacks. Because I want to see when Hines has his good matchups, what does, I guess, Cleary have at the same time? So, this week it's Manly, but if you're bringing in Cleary, you're going to captain Cleary against the Dogs, right? So, if Hines goes massive this week, it's not the end of the world. It's really not, because you're not going to captain him unless you're a madman. I mean, it's a good matchup, but then, yeah, Penrith, Rabbitohs, you're not going to captain him. I mean, you could captain Cleary against the fucking Sharks, that's for sure. Gold Coast in round 24, that's a captaincy matchup. So round 24, what does Nathan Cleary have? Is this Cleary? Yes. So Cleary has Manly. That's pretty good. That's honestly pretty good. I definitely wouldn't be unhappy about playing Cleary captaincy in that one. Or even, Ponga could also have a really good matchup, or someone else. Then he has Gold Coast as well. So that sort of cancels out. Then Hines, I know he has one other... Well, a couple. I mean, Newcastle around 26 is also really juicy. But honestly, you know what we could do, which would be... maybe not. But we could, after the Cowboys game, depending on prices and if we do have a trade up our sleeves, we could trade Johnson in round 26 to Hines for the Newcastle Raiders final 2 games. Maybe. Because who does Johnson... Well, okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, round 26, Newcastle, who does Cleary have in round 26? He has got Parramatta. So a bit of a tougher one. Yeah, that's a bit of a tough one. But I mean, Newcastle have been they've been better. So it's not necessarily like a walkover game. And then Johnson, what has he got for the last 2 games? I think it's good. It's too good. You're not going to trade him out, you damn fool. It's Dragons, Dolphins. You're not going to trade him out for Hines. There's no point. There's no point in doing that. But if we go back here, it would make life so much easier if we did it like this. So let's just have a quick squiz at it now to see how it shapes up. So Hines out for Nathan Cleary. Nets us decent amount there. And then Gutherson, because it's like 250 plus K difference right there, because Johnson's like 100 plus less than Cleary. And then Gutherson, I mean, I'm trading out Gutherson because he's got a massive break even. He's like 124 as well. And I think it is the time to trade Gutherson. They got pretty tough matchups, and they also have the bye in the last game as well. So I think it's the time to trade him out. And then we bring in, I mean, are people, do you just go Chance instead of Tedesco? do you just go CNK? No, he's got I don't think so, because he does have the bye. And I do think for the price, Tedesco is going to come home strong. I'd be surprised if Tedesco didn't finish the season well. It's a pod. Actually, how owned was he? How owned was Tedesco? 10%, but that's probably way lower than that, because I'm sure it's a lot of people that started the season with him and aren't playing anymore. So it's definitely a big pod to bring in Tedesco, who could be really good. So we'll have 380k with these trades. I mean, on paper, they don't seem like great trades. Like Hines and Gutherson to Tedesco and Cleary, they seem very sideways. You don't usually like to do trades like that, but I don't hate it. I just feel like I feel like it opens it up so much, because then we can easily get Talakai to Latrell Mitchell next week, even if he loses max amount of cash, and Mitchell doesn't lose much, we can easily get to that. So let's say, it shouldn't cost this much, but let's just say it costs 200k to go there. So, let's just say we'll have 200k remaining. It could be a little bit less than that, but let's just say we have 200k remaining. After a Talakai to Latrell Mitchell trade, then we could trade Jared Croker for, well, you wouldn't do it next week, because you could get Marju, maybe. Probably not quite. He's going to be a little bit too expensive. I don't know. It's a fucking tough one, dude. I don't know what to do here. I honestly don't, and it's not like I don't even have like a gut feeling about it, so I'm so torn. This does make it so much easier to get the other pieces we want to get, and it just leaves us a little bit more flexible for the long term. But do you really trade out Nico Hines, man? I just don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. But Johnson's run home is so good. Obviously, I mean, even the Raiders this week, he scored a big ton. He could go big again. The bye is annoying, but like, it's not the worst. Again, we'll look at Hines. We'll look at Nico. I mean, my man is still at almost $1 million, right? He's gone up 60k from his starting price. He hasn't really fluctuated much at all. He's had a couple of low scores. I mean, he's had a 40, 2 40s. Then he went on a bit of a tear. But these 3 teams are trash, so fair enough. Newcastle, he got 71 against. Titans. I'm torn. I'm very torn. I've got. I honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do. I probably my initial thing was to trade out Johnson for Cleary. But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm liking the idea of trading out Hines. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, dude, like, I'm going well. But what the worst that can happen, Hines comes out and kills it for the remaining of the year. Johnson maybe falls off and I drop some ranks. Who cares? Like, it's a pod play. It could work out well if they don't really, score that much differently over the time. And the extra cash would be nice. So I'm leaning towards it. I am leaning towards. So you know what? Let's just do that for now. I'm not saying I'm going to stick to it. We could definitely reverse and yeah, just do Gutherson. I think the Gutherson trade out, I was just thinking, do you trade if we were going to do that? Would you trade out Talakai first then instead of Gutherson? But probably not, because again, Talakai's break even is 80, Gutherson's like 120. But Talakai is on the bench; he could play like 10 minutes. It could both be bad. I think you just go Gutherson. He's at such a peak price. I think it's just the right time to do it. Get in Tedesco. I think it's a nice play. Hines gone for Cleary. We'll just do it for like this for now because I do want to see just what our 17 will look like. Because again, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough now to actually pick who our 17 are going to be. Fucking Jared Croker, like he's been a guy that I've wanted to get rid of for a long time as well, but we just don't have there's always more pressing trades than Croker, and unfortunately he just hasn't quite gone bang and got to like 500, 600k, so it's made it a little tricky, but it is what it is. So Tedesco I think could be a good vice captaincy, so I'll put him on the field. Croker, who the Sharks play again? Manly, yeah. I think you play Ronnie, right? Oh, this is actually a bit. Maybe we do have to trade Talakai instead of Gutherson because, yeah. I mean, you could play Croker. You could play Croker, but it's not amazing. Yeah, that's not great. The Bunnies against the Broncos, so you're probably not going to play Johnston. Yeah, we might have to trade Talakai instead of Gutherson, which again, it's probably better anyway because Gutherson could score 60, 70, miss his break even by 50. Talakai could play like 10 minutes and get like 20 points, miss it by 60. Yeah, we might have to do it like that then. But let's just look at it for now. Obviously, Cody Walker, reserve. So Ponga, Cleary, Johnson. So Piacora, get out for Fafita. I mean, we're looking pretty stacked, I gotta be honest. Get in Joey Tarpany. And this is where it gets tricky. So here are our reserves. So Johnson, yes. Garrick, yes, I think. Cody Walker, I think you do go Cody Walker. I think you got to, right? The Rabbitohs have all their plays back. Like, the Broncos are good, but... And then, fuck, you got to go Horsburgh. So we're not going to play Cartwright, which is probably fine. Cartwright, I think, potentially could get, like, a bit of a spell this week. So we're not playing... Yeah, we're missing some... I mean, no Solomona. We could play Solomona over Tohu Harris as well. So we got some decisions to make. And also, I'm not sold on going Hines to Cleary. I think Cleary is a must-have this week just because fucking he is... We'll talk about captaincy, vice-captaincy, so... Cleary is the must captain, I think. I mean, it's too good to be true, but I think he will fucking kill it against the Dogs. Kalen Ponga he's always a good vice captaincy shout against even the Storm. I think is pretty solid. Dave Fafita, good vice captaincy against the Roosters. Johnson against the Raiders, obviously not because you got Cleary. Tedesco against the Gold Coast probably is my vice captaincy this week. And then, yeah, I think Cleary, or even if for whatever reason you're not going to get, like, I don't know, if you're just going to hold Hines and Johnson and not get Cleary back in, then yeah, I guess you could go captaincy Hines. Also could kill it against Manly, but that is what I'm leaning towards at the moment. But I'm not. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna change. It's definitely gonna change. I don't know. I would love if there was like late mail that was saying Talakai was potentially going to get that spot in the back row, but it probably won't happen. And then fucking. Yeah, I don't know who you'd play. It's just a bit tricky. But yeah, hopefully guys are enjoying the series. This one was a bit all over the shop. I'm torn. I'm very torn. Back end of the season. So many like potential plays, so many big decisions, but I think like the plan or the future plan is still looking pretty solid. Like Cleary, Tedesco, Mitchell, I think are my three main guys coming in. I would love to get CNK probably is the other main guy, and then we'll probably have to make a bit of cash, if that be with with the Hines trade out, or if we don't do that and nuff out somebody else, could be the right idea as well. And then probably after that we'll have like 2 trades remaining that we'll probably just save up in case of emergency, or if there's someone that just sort of, you know, can be a bit of a point of difference. But that's how we're looking for now. So I think that's all. Well, it's not good. I still don't know what I'm doing, but the shortish to longish term, we're looking okay. But hopefully guys are enjoying the series. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.